including Luke Voit, who's been kind of bouncing around the last couple of years. And in looking for a home for him, I was trying to find a place, Bill, where he could finally get 500 plate appearances a year, not be a part of a platoon, not go from DHing once a week to playing first base once a week. Where would you put him?
Well, what's interesting, too, because that splash that Luke Voit made in New York, for the Yankees, was quite impressive, right? We haven't seen that for a while. He went out to San Diego. He ends up in Washington. To get those plate appearances, it's a little bit of a catch-22, Matty, because you got to go out there and start doing some stuff where people go, yeah, I remember that, and then you get more plate appearances. Is Miami a place that he might be able to go? Now, I know it might not be the hitter-friendly ballpark for a home run hitter, but when he hits them, they're hit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily matter, I don't think, in the ballpark scheme of things. But I'm with you. I'd like to see this guy try to find it where he can go back out there and play first every day. And last I checked, I think Miami could use said first baseman. So maybe that's a place. I was trying to think of a contending team that might want him, because that might get his juices going again. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. It might be one of those things where you got to go somewhere and reestablish yourself. And if you go down there and rake, things might happen for you at the trade deadline. But you got to be that guy that you were in New York when you were hitting the ball out of the ballpark and took it by storm.
Miami plays for him. I mean, look, he hit 22 homers last year between San Diego and Washington. Really kind of a hard year for him. What about the Brewers? And again, I'm putting him back into a platoon with Rowdy Tellez. Right. But Tellez is going to play against right-handed pitching. Voit could play against left-handed pitching. Voit could DH. The Brewers always seem to need power in the middle of their lineup, so I think that's a possible fit.
And that is a hitter-friendly ballpark, and balls are flying out of that stadium, so that could be a pretty cool place. And look, the beauty of the DH everywhere now is just what you said. He could do a little platoonship if it's right, but then you start raking, and you find your way back in the lineup. So that's what I said, that catch-22. 500 plate appearances, 600 at-bats, whatever in that neighborhood, it's up to the player to actually get it done. And then the manager starts writing his name in there, righty-lefty, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let's go back into the market, because let's see who else has popped up on the shelf here for us.
Oh, Gary Sanchez.
Yes, Gary Sanchez is pretty interesting. I'll start this one. I've got a couple of teams, and I think one, there might actually be some discussion here with the Angels. They're looking for more productivity at that position. They got the young catcher Logan O'Hoppe, who they traded for from the Phillies, who's potentially one of the best catching prospects in the game. On the occasion he's not ready to go, they've got Max Stassi lined up and returning, who's on a longer deal. Why not complement him with a guy that's got a little bigger power upside in Gary Sanchez? So I think the Angels are intriguing for him. And I have another team, too, that I'm not quite as sold on, but I want to hear what you have to say here first.
I don't know if I'm going to steal your thunder on the other team or not, but I mentioned Luke Voit and the splash he made in New York. What about the splash Gary Sanchez made when he first got to New York? This dude was unbelievable, hitting the ball out of the ballpark, throwing rockets down to second base. He's kind of fallen to the wayside as far as his catching skills, or everybody's taking shots at him. Is Sam Fran a possibility? I know it's not necessarily in the same breath when you talk about a Buster Posey that they're still trying to figure out how to completely replace there. I don't know. He needs another landing spot, though, where he could be like Luke Voit and reestablish himself, because he's not the guy that first showed up in New York and made that big splash.
Yeah, the other team for me was going to be the Tigers. Maybe, without Tucker Barnhart there, maybe with as a complimentary piece to Eric Haas. I don't know. I think the Angels are a pretty good landing spot for him. Let's go back into the market. We got time for one more of these. And who have we landed on? Oh, Josh Harrison, man. I love this guy's heartbeat for such a long time. Great skill set, can do a lot for you. Play multiple positions, hit anywhere in the lineup. Very versatile player. I'm going to let you kick this one off. Where for Josh Harrison?
Well, I got to bring Keith Costas into the mix on this, because I love me some Keith Costas. And I asked him, I go, dude, what's going on? And he threw out there the way he usually does, with intelligence. He goes, what about Boston? Boston seems to be collecting a lot of people. And I went, yeah, it might not necessarily fit the bill in my way of thinking. But there's an awful lot of things right now that Boston's done this free agent season, or this offseason, that I haven't necessarily been on board with. But they're trying to replace, they let Xander Bogaerts go. And they're trying to replace that. Trevor Story just got some surgery. And you're looking at this thing and how it plays out. Here's a dude that can play in the middle of the diamond, and it seems like they're looking for such a thing. So would that not make sense in a roundabout way?
Yep.
Like I said, Boston hadn't done a whole lot to make me go, yeah, I get that thus far.
He could play third, too, by the way.
I don't think they need that.
No, they don't need. They got a lot of guys that can do that, actually. I got 2 spots for him. Look, he's a Cincinnati guy. Why not bring a veteran guy on with the Reds? I don't know that Josh is going to want to go there in the middle of a rebuild, which the Reds seem to be in. So what about Minnesota for him? No Luis Arias, no Gio Urshela, right? They could use that infield versatility, and why not Minnesota?
And in the scheme of things, the way Josh has been playing, I think he's valuable to a team like that, a contender, because I think Minnesota has every bit of intention of pushing the Guardians and the White Sox in that division. So that could be a good possibility.
I feel like we're going to have, like, every show on TV and everything that you look at on social media, we'll have our dig me moment on this, where we look back and kind of congratulate ourselves for being right. We're not above doing that. And I think we're going to do that after this. We stumbled on some good stuff. Let's take a break. When we come back, spring daydreaming, Keith Costas' dream
There he is.
on the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's easy to dream about a World Series appearance every year at Chavez Ravine. Is this year any different? Keith will talk about it coming up next.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
15 years, Harold, presented by the General Insurance.
Hello, good morning.
Would you butter a couple of rolls for me there, please?
I could try the peanut butter.
What kind of gum you chewing?
My breath stinks.
Excuse me?
Spring daydreaming, thinking about the prospects that all 30 teams may or may not have to compete this year, perhaps win a World Series, and near the top of that list, if not at the very top, every year for the last decade has been the L.A. Dodgers. Keith, let's dream on their 2023 spring a little bit.
Yeah, I see Sierra opted out of the front end, but that's neither here nor there. We'll talk about the Dodgers in this segment. Matty, you said it. They dream on a World Series every year, and how could you not? Basically 100 wins every season. But if we are going to dream on something, how about a little healthier rotation this time around than last year? Now, obviously, this didn't prevent them from having a great season, but you see the note on the bottom there, 15-14 in 29 games started by pitchers not on this board. So 111 wins, could have been even higher with a little healthier rotation. Obviously, the headliner here, Walker Buehler, who had Tommy John surgery. It's up in the air whether or not we'll see him at all this year. Could be back in the second half, but healthier rotation will help the Dodgers even more than they already were last year. Now, how about the middle of their lineup? Max Muncy, JD Martinez, 2 guys that have been all-stars in the past, had down seasons last year. Can they turn it around? Can they lengthen that lineup a little bit? Because you look at what they're projected at offensively right now, guys, it's not really that vintage group of Dodgers. Obviously, they still have plenty of star power. Obviously, a great team, but it's maybe not the lineup depth that we've been accustomed to during this recent run of success that they've had. Now, one silver lining for them last year in the outfield, Trayce Thompson. Out of nowhere, this guy rejoins the Dodgers in the middle of the season, and you look at from his Dodgers debut on, OPS amongst outfielders, I think you could argue those are probably the 4 best outfielders in the game right now, or at least in the conversation, and then Klay Thompson's brother is the 5th guy. So can you keep that up over a full season in the outfield there, paired with Mookie Betts? And now how about a true flyer? These guys basically changing spots. Cody Bellinger signs with the Cubs. Hayward's going to be a non-roster invitee with the Dodgers. Obviously at different points in their career, and that's reflected in the deals that they got, as you see on the bottom there. But can Jason Hayward get back on track and give them a little bit more depth in the outfield, guys? Obviously, the Dodgers, an embarrassment of riches, 100-plus wins basically every year, so it's not like they have to do much dreaming to get excited, but there's some things to dream on. How do we see the Dodgers this year, guys? And specifically, how do we see them without Walker Buehler in that rotation for the first half at least?
That's the big question. You want to start on this one?
You know what's interesting, too, because I get it, the Dodgers, we're used to seeing what they're doing, but that's not the Dodgers that we've seen over the past couple of years. You know, Trey Turner's not there. Justin Turner's not there. And Justin Turner's been a mainstay and a producer in that lineup. How are they going to fill those voids? Bueller not being in there to begin with. I still like their starting staff. I like the fact that they can go out there and pitch. Urias, I think, is just an absolute beast when he takes the ball and does what he's doing. But, you know, Trey Turner, Mookie, and Freddie last year, the thought of those three in the lineup, dynamic. When you take Trey Turner out of it, I'm okay with Mookie. I'm okay with Freddie. But it's a little bit different of a group. And if I'm the Padres, there it is. If I'm the Padres, I'm sitting there going, okay, this is ripe for taking. We've done some things. We like our club, and we think this is the opportunity for us to go. Now, would it surprise me if they went out there and won 162 again? Like 100 wins, 62? No, that's not going to surprise me. They're the Dodgers. They're good. They've got pockets. They can go make some changes if they have to. But it's not the same team, I don't believe, that we've seen the past few years.
Agree with everything you said. It's intriguing if you're a Padres fan. It's intriguing if you're a Southern California baseball fan, because I don't want to sound like a house man here, but the Angels have gotten a lot better with some very shrewd moves. Tyler Anderson, Brandon Drury, we could go on and on. I think the Angels have closed a lot of ground on the Dodgers where there was a chasm separating them the last couple years. So it's going to be fun down there between the Angels, Padres, and Dodgers, that little Southern California cluster. It's going to be fun to watch this year. Good stuff. Let's take another break. When we come back, Sierra rejoins the program. She's got a name game for us. And does it have anything to do with the Babe or Coco or Boof? We'll have to find out.
Are you crazy?
Hot stove.